For more than 30 years, the most powerful criminal in New England ran a 6-state operation from the sidewalk. He didn't use a secure boardroom or an underground bunker. On warm days, he simply set up a folding beach chair outside a mundane vending machine shop and watched the street. From that chair, Raymond Patriarca controlled nearly every illegal business from Providence to Portland. The FBI considered him the most outstanding gangster in the region, a boss with a seat on the Mafia's National Commission and tentacles reaching as far as Miami and Philadelphia. You would expect an empire of that density to be anchored in a sprawling metropolis like Chicago or New York. Patriarca's base was Rhode Island. It was the smallest state in the Union, operating out of a city with fewer than 200,000 residents. In a city that compact, the man running the local underworld and the man running the municipal courthouse weren't abstract enemies. They were neighbors, often living just 3 miles apart. Providence is physically and culturally split by its geography. To the east sits College Hill. With its colonial mansions, Ivy League campuses, and the Providence Athenaeum, this hill has spent 3 centuries serving as the seat of legitimate power, respectability, and inherited wealth. Directly across the downtown sits Federal Hill. Originally home to Irish famine immigrants, by the early 20th century it had become a densely packed Italian enclave. It developed a strict internal code, preferring to handle its own community disputes without ever involving the city's official police force. Patriarca focused on a specific kind of leverage, the ability to purchase the very people meant to enforce the law. He specialized in buying the specific officials whose job was to stop him. In 1938, a young Patriarca was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in a Massachusetts state prison for armed robbery. He served exactly 84 days. A politician secured his release using a petition backed by 3 Catholic priests, one of whom did not exist, entirely fabricated for the paperwork. An informant later told the FBI that the arrangement cost $38,000 in cash. Once he took control of the New England Mafia a decade later, Patriarca relocated its headquarters from Boston down to Federal Hill. The tight-knit, closed-door layout of Atwell's Avenue allowed him to operate in plain sight, protected by the neighborhood's isolation. That early prison release set the tone for his entire reign. To other criminals, the 84-day pardon proved that the real machinery of legitimate government could be fully manipulated with cash. Patriarca stationed himself at 168 Atwell's Avenue, inside a storefront called Coinomatic Distributors. On paper, it was a cash-only vending machine and pinball business. In practice, because no one could prove how many packs a machine sold in a week, it provided an untraceable way to launder illicit cash. Functioning as a shadow government, every card game and loan shark paid a weekly tribute flowing up to the Coinomatic. The footprint extended westward to the Dunes Hotel in Las Vegas, siphoning untaxed cash directly off casino revenue. In 1962, Attorney General Robert Kennedy ordered a national crackdown on organized crime. FBI agents successfully planted listening devices inside the Atwell's Avenue office, capturing 3 years of candid conversations detailing political payoffs to state legislators across 2 states. Maintaining this structure required absolute compliance. When a local bookmaker named Willie Marfeo loudly refused to pay the shadow tax, a lone gunman forced him into a telephone booth outside a Federal Hill restaurant and fired 4 shotgun blasts in broad daylight. In 1975, 8 gunmen looted the Bonded Vault Company, a hidden bank for the syndicate's unreported cash and gold. FBI documents later supported the theory that Patriarca orchestrated the robbery of his own vault to punish subordinates he suspected of skimming during his time in prison. This was a functioning infrastructure of alternative law and finance. With its own tax code and its own protocols for enforcement, the organization ran a system that mirrored the state's official authority. At the same time, the legitimate government was busy absorbing the criminal one. Joseph Bevilacqua grew up in Providence, earned a law degree from Georgetown, and built a massive political career while maintaining close public friendships with organized crime figures. He eventually ascended to become Chief Justice of the Rhode Island Supreme Court. The arrangement held until 1984, when reporters photographed the state's highest-ranking judge zipping his pants while leaving a midday tryst at a motel owned by mob associates, forcing his resignation. The public reaction to this systemic decay gave rise to a young, charismatic prosecutor named Raymond Buddy Cianci. Cianci made his name directly prosecuting Raymond Patriarca in court, leveraging that reputation into a run for mayor. To secure the election in a staunchly Democratic city, the Republican anti-mob candidate made a calculated alliance. Cianci's team reached out to a known Patriarca enforcer, trading a municipal city job in exchange for securing votes on the street. In the end, Cianci won the mayor's office by a margin of just 709 votes. The municipal court, the state legislature, and the mayor's office, the very institutions meant to stop the mob, had become active participants in the enterprise. Raymond Patriarca died of a heart attack in 1984, leaving the organization to his son. 5 years later, the FBI secretly recorded an induction ceremony in Massachusetts, capturing the blood oath of Omerta on tape, and securing indictments that decimated the family's hierarchy. With the traditional mafia fractured, Buddy Cianci returned to power in the 1990s. He oversaw the Providence Renaissance, a massive urban revitalization project that uncovered the city's buried rivers, built a sprawling downtown mall, and attracted national praise. Behind the public beautification, Providence City Hall was functioning as a racketeering enterprise. Envelopes of cash regularly changed hands in exchange for city jobs, manipulated tax bills, and rigged municipal contracts. In the spring of 1999, the FBI launched Operation Plunderdome. More than 50 agents raided city offices, seizing crates of documents and securing devastating undercover video of top administration officials accepting bribes. At Cianci's sentencing, the presiding federal judge delivered a blistering assessment, stating from the bench that there had been more corruption in Cianci's 2 administrations than in the entire history of the state. Taking down the mob boss hadn't actually solved the problem. The politicians had completely absorbed the mob's methods of governing, turning City Hall into a mirror image of the syndicate. That ingrained culture of favor trading survived long after both Patriarca and Cianci. As recently as 2022, a senior state house official resigned after investigators discovered he was a silent partner in a marijuana business with a known mob associate, and had quietly met with him in the shadows just outside the Capitol building. Today, visitors come to see the floating fires of the river installations and take crime and cuisine tours on Federal Hill, treating the city's history as entertainment. But the physical layout remains identical. The 2 hills still face each other across a shared downtown, deeply intertwined. When the line between lawmakers and lawbreakers is erased for half a century, democratic institutions cease to function as protections and simply become the most powerful rackets in town.